Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining another episode of Interchange. My name is Mohit, and today I'm so excited to have David Reed from the community. So, before we get started, I just want to talk a bit about this Interchange series. So, in this series, we bring an expert from our community and take a question and discuss the solution that they have. David, welcome to the show. Would you like to introduce yourself, David?
Thank you, Mohit. Yes, I'm delighted to be here. My name is David Reed. I'm a lead member of technical staff at Salesforce.org, where I work on the Cumulus CI tools for automating the Salesforce platform. You might also know me from Salesforce Stack Exchange, where I'm a moderator and proud contributor. I love working with automation, and I love helping teams build great products for nonprofit and educational institutions. So I'm really excited to be part of this series.
Thank you, David. So, without further ado, David, let's actually deep dive into the question that we have today. So, let's actually get to the question that we have today. So, here is the question that we have today. David, would you like to read out and explain what is this question?
Yeah, absolutely. So this user came to us through the Trailblazer community with a question about building second generation packages, beta and released versions that extend the nonprofit success pack, which is one of the flagship products of Salesforce.org. And I was delighted when I saw this question because it's comprehensive. It covers kind of the whole scope of what goes into creating that extension of the nonprofit success pack. And because this is a question that we've seen in the community a number of times from people who are interested in extending that functionality for new use cases or subsectors in the nonprofit sphere or other workflows that we might not even have anticipated. So this is a question that to me is full of promise of exciting new things that can be built on the Salesforce platform. And we're now in a position where we can offer
A much more compelling solution in my mind for how to create those extensions of the Nonprofit Success Pack and EDA and other Salesforce.org products.
Awesome. So, this question is posted on Trailblazer community under the Cumulus CI group. Is that correct, David? Okay.
That's right.
Okay, awesome. And one of the questions that I had for developers is, what are some of the other forums or other communities where especially our folks in .org and who have questions related to NPSP, developer oriented questions, where what are some of those communities that they can go for their answers or seek help?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one of the key sources and communities for the nonprofit and education spheres, including development, but also including admins and declarative developers, consultants, and other stakeholders, is the Power of Us Hub. And if you're already part of the nonprofit or education community, you might know the Power of Us Hub. You may already be there. If you're not yet part of that community, that might be new to you. It's very similar to the Trailblazer community, but it's scoped specifically to that nonprofit and education sphere. You'll find within the Power of Us Hub a number of groups that focus not just on Cumulus CI, which is my personal focus and the focus of my team, but also developing on the Nonprofit Success Pack, developing on top of EDA and other Salesforce.org products, and lots of other topics from the fully declarative end to the fully code-based end around those products. And another thing that you'll know if you regularly follow the Salesforce.org blog is that we've got exciting plans for the Power of Us Hub, which is going to be moving over into the Trailblazer community in the very near future. So keep an eye on the hub itself and also on the Salesforce.org blog for more news about that transition.
Awesome. Thank you for that, David. So just switching back the context back to that question. So just to summarize, right? So this question is about how do we extend NPSP, which is a big managed package, which has multiple package. How do we extend and create a 2GP unlock package? So let's say a customer installs this and they have few more functionalities that they want to add, but they still want to use the packaging technology so that they can move their metadata and all the changes that they have done from one environment to another.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now, maybe I can set just a little bit of context around NPSP and its extensions.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
So the Nonprofit Success Pack, for those who haven't been hands-on with it in the past, is a customization product for the Salesforce platform that makes over our CRM for the specific needs of nonprofit organizations. And that includes things like accepting and tracking donations, managing relationships with major donors that can span many years, lots and lots of different interactions and touch points, what we call moves management in the nonprofit space, which deals with how to cultivate those major gifts and create relationships that lead to funding and support opportunities. It deals with things like direct mail campaigns, events, all kinds of other facets of these very complex, deep, and broad relationships that nonprofits maintain with their donors and other members of their communities. At a technical level, the Nonprofit Success Pack is a first-generation package, or rather, it's 6 first-generation packages that together make up this suite of customizations. And in addition to the 6 managed packages that make up NPSP, it also comes with unpackaged customizations that are delivered to the customer's org to prepare it for the Nonprofit Success Pack and to help them get started and get set up quickly. I can show a quick summary here.
Sure.
This is our installer,
install.salesforce.org, that delivers the Nonprofit Success Pack and other products out to our customers. And you can see in the list of steps here that we're shipping out 6 managed packages, and we're also shipping out 3 other deliveries of unpackaged metadata that help set up the org. And one of the reasons why I mention and highlight this is that scope and complexity of this product is a key feature in how we will be most effective in extending the Nonprofit Success Pack with our own products and extension packages.
Wow, that's awesome. All right, so let's get to some hands-on work, David. So why don't you share your screen and we will see, how somebody can, create these unlock packages, those extensions for NPSP, but then still package them. I bet it'll be a tough challenge, and I'm really curious to actually deep dive into your answer.
Yeah, I hope it will be an interesting challenge at least, and an exciting one, I think, because what's on offer here, what we get out of being able to extend the Nonprofit Success Pack, is the possibility to create more impact and open up more scope for the community, and potentially even launch new open source projects. So let me introduce quickly what I'm going to be building here. I'm going to put on the hat of a declarative developer. I'm working with a local sports league that plays women's flat track roller derby.
Oh, wow.
They use the Nonprofit Success Pack to track their donors and relationships and sponsorships that they gather from local businesses. And now this organization has decided that they're interested in building on top of the Nonprofit Success Pack to bring some of the work that they do with spreadsheets today, like tracking their team memberships, their rosters, and their games, bringing all that work out of spreadsheets into Salesforce, and also linking up those activities that they participate in with the sponsorship activities that they track in NPSP. So what I have here, this is our starting point, is a project in Visual Studio Code where I've created some custom schema, objects to track games, rosters, roster and team memberships, and teams themselves.
Okay.
And I also have added some schema that creates a new relationship between the Nonprofit Success Pack's General Accounting Unit object, which tracks allocations of funds from donors, so that we can maintain a connection between a sponsorship and a team that is being sponsored.
Got it. So you have established a dependency, right, David? So you basically have your own objects, right, which are dependent on that managed package, like the NPSP package objects.
Exactly.
Okay.
And you can see that here in Schema Builder at a high level.
Yes.
We created a number of new objects here, and then we're linking out with a relationship to the NPSP General Accounting Unit object.
Got it. Okay.
So that's where we'll start. We have a Salesforce DX project here, and we could take an org that has the Nonprofit Success Pack installed in it, and we could deploy this up into that org as unmanaged metadata.
Got it.
But that doesn't take us all that far. Right? There's a couple of problems we want to solve. One is that we'd like to be able to set up new orgs with the Nonprofit Success Pack and the work that we've done here. And also as a community-minded organization, this sports league that we're working with would like to be able to take the customizations that they've built and share them out with other leagues in their community, or create an open source project around this project to help continue building and developing it to support more and more use cases.
Right.
Now, in order to do that, we'd like to package this up, just like our questioner on the Trailblazer community, be able to distribute it as a second generation package.
Yes.
And that'll help support us with the ability to do upgrades, make changes in production, because we're going to be using unlocked packaging.
Yes.
And also share that product out with other organizations. So that's what we're going to tackle here.
Awesome. Okay.
So we're going to use a tool called Cumulus CI on top of Salesforce DX. Cumulus CI is the tool that my team at Salesforce.org builds. It's an automation framework that harnesses Salesforce DX to do complex work on top of the Salesforce platform.
Got it. So it's a wrapper. So just to understand and level set this up, is like the Cumulus CI. Is it a wrapper around Salesforce DX, or like what is it? Is it an orchestration, CI/CD pipeline that the team has created?
Orchestration is a word that I really like.
Okay.
We talk about Cumulus CI as an automation framework where you can define an orchestration of operations, like installing dependencies for a managed package, loading your work into an org, loading data, building out a community, lots of other things. You define an orchestration that includes those operations, and then you get to use that orchestration wherever you need it, which can be both locally, like we're going to do today, but also in a CI/CD pipeline or in a web app like install.salesforce.org to deliver directly into a customer's org.
Got it. Awesome. All right, let's deep dive then.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is answer a handful of questions from Cumulus CI about what we'd like to build.
Okay.
We are going to build a package called Derby Force Unlocked. We're going to use a namespace, Derby Force, which I've already reserved with a namespace org. That's what you use with the second generation package. And I've linked that namespace org to my dev hub.
Got it.
So we're going to use the latest API version 52. And lastly, Cumulus CI is going to ask us, do we want to extend another project like NPSP and EDA? We do. We want to build on top of NPSP.
Yes.
If you're in the education sphere, you could also select EDA here, and just note throughout this demo that the workflows that you use for extending EDA are almost identical to those that you use with NPSP, except that you swap out which product you're building on top of.
Got it.
So here we're going to say we want to extend the Nonprofit Success Pack, and we'll accept mostly the defaults for the remainder of the questions here.
Got it.
All right. So what happened after we ran that project in it is that we've acquired a little bit more skeleton for our project. In particular, we've gotten a YAML file here called cumulusci.yaml. This file defines the shape of our project and the automation that we're going to use to create scratch orgs in which we want to work, and also to create package versions, which is what we're focused on right now.
Awesome.
You can see in the cumulusci.yaml file that we've identified a dependency. This is one of the questions that we were asked in that initial interview on the Nonprofit Success Pack. And that dependency is specified as a GitHub repository. We'll come back to that in a few minutes. That's very important to how Cumulus CI works to let you resolve your dependencies and also consume automation that already exists in other projects to make your life a little bit easier.
Got it.
So I could go ahead right now and create or initiate the creation of a package version. However, if I were to do so, I would get a rather surprising error. I do this by running what we call a flow in Cumulus CI. A flow is one of those orchestrations we talked about.
Got it.
And I do that by using the CCI flow run command with the flow called release 2GP beta.
Got it.
Now, what we're trying to upload here is a second generation package. We're specifically looking to do an unlocked package rather than a managed package.
Yes.
Both would follow the same route here. But if I were to run that command, I would get a rather inscrutable error, which I'll show you.
Got it.
I'd get this huge block of text that boils down to this. An error occurred while trying to install a package dependency. No custom field named account.recordTypeID found.
Got it.
Now, that doesn't immediately mean a whole lot, but it's actually pointing to two key problems in how we define and build and manage our orgs and the package versions that we create in those orgs. So I want to dig into that a little bit, and then we'll show how to solve this particular problem.
Okay.
If we go back to the quick summary we looked at the NPSP installer.
Yeah.
Remember that we're delivering 6 managed packages.
We are.
In addition to those managed packages, though, we're also delivering some unpackaged metadata.
Specifically record types on the account object and on the opportunity object.
Got it.
So those are two things that we need to handle here. And it's the record types that are the immediate challenge that's preventing us from uploading a version of our second generation package. Now, this goes into the weeds just a little bit, but it's a general problem. Right? The broadest scope of this problem, I think, is when I'm building a package, I need to be aware of my dependencies on other packages, other products that I'm consuming. But I also need to be aware of the dependencies or requirements that my package and these other packages have on how their orgs are set up.
Got it. So it's not just okay. So it's not just the package metadata, but there are some metadata like standard metadata or maybe some record types or something that these packages are dependent. And when you are actually trying to create a package version, the scratch org that's getting created in that process doesn't know about it. Is that correct?
Exactly right.
Okay.
Exactly right.
Okay.
So we can dive in there just a little bit more.
Yeah.
When you create a scratch org,
you're setting up an ephemeral environment, right, which doesn't contain any metadata other than what's out of the box. And normally when you're building a scratch org in which to do development, you'd use a definition file just like this that specifies what you need in that org in order for your products to work.
Yes.
And you have the freedom when you create that scratch org to go in and make changes, right? You can work in setup UI, you can deploy metadata, you can install packages, whatever you need. When we're building a second generation package, whether we're doing that using Cumulus CI's release 2GP beta, command or SFDX's SFDX,
package create or version create. Yeah.
Either way, we don't get an opportunity to touch that build org that's created to upload a second generation package hands-on.
Yes.
We have to specify up front exactly what we want, including all those org configurations, all the dependencies, everything else that goes into what our product needs in order for that package to be able to upload. So that's what we're going to handle here with automation to get the org set up with our 6 managed packages and also the org shape requirements that those packages have.
Got it. Okay, cool. So so you mentioned something org shape. So just to be clear, we are not talking about the org shape feature of Salesforce.
That's right. We're not using the org shape feature of Salesforce here. Now, if we were using the org shape feature, we could do that, of course. And that'll create a scratch org with a particular shape that's copied from some other org, like your production org.
Yeah.
In this case, we actually don't have a production org. We're building a second generation package. So our namespace org, which is equivalent to the 1GP packaging org, doesn't have any metadata in it, and it never will.
Got it.
So for us here, we're going to focus exclusively on these org definitions and build those out to suit the needs of these packages.
Okay.
Let's start with Cumulus CI YAML here. We're going to bring in a couple of customizations that will specify where we want to start. First of all, we know we're building an unlocked package.
Yes.
Cumulus CI defaults to building a managed package. So we're going to add a customization to the release 2GP beta flow that tells Cumulus CI that we in fact want an unlocked package.
Got it. Okay.
What we're doing here is just overriding an option on this out-of-the-box orchestration called release 2GP beta that specifies the package type is unlocked. That's all we're doing here.
Awesome.
And we're suppressing the use of an ancestor ID because we don't need it.
We don't need the ancestor ID. It's only for maybe 2GP managed packages. Okay.
Exactly. And I'm going to add one more configuration that we'll come back to a little bit later that will allow us to also consume some automation from the Nonprofit Success Pack.
Got it.
To help our orgs look a little bit nicer when we work with them. So we've told Cumulus CI we want to build an unlock package. Next, we need to handle the dependencies and we need to handle the record types. Let's start with the record types. Actually, that's a little bit more straightforward.
Yes.
So we'll go into our terminal. We're going to create a new Scratch org definition file by copying. Let's use the release org.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make a new definition file called build.json.
Mm-hmm.
And we will customize build.json using a newer feature of the Salesforce DX definition file called object settings.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. I've never sort of used that.
Yeah, it's a relatively newer innovation from the Salesforce DX team. I don't know exactly when that came out, but what it allows us to do, paste this in here, is define some of those
that's cool.
Metadata that we otherwise would handle by either interacting directly with the setup UI, which we can't do for a second generation package build org, or deploying unpackaged metadata, which we also can't do here.
Got it.
What this object settings is going to do when Salesforce DX processes it is essentially synthesize the metadata for an opportunity record type called default, and also an account record type called default. And it's going to deploy those metadata entities up into our build org before we start trying to install packages. And remember, we saw that error, the rather inscrutable error saying the record type ID doesn't exist.
Yes.
You get that error when you try to install a package that uses record types, but which doesn't which uses record types on an object that does not have any record types in the org.
Yep.
So we're handling that by making sure that Salesforce DX builds us that Scratch org with record types in place already. And that means we don't have to worry about trying to deploy those unpackaged elements of the Nonprofit Success Pack into our build org.
Awesome. Okay.
So with that build definition in place, we can now focus on dependencies. One thing I'll call out here is we're not going to specify any dependencies in our sfdx project.json. This is almost a skeleton of a project definition here.
Got it.
And the reason we're not doing that is we want to consume those dependencies dynamically. One of the things we pointed out earlier, when we specified a dependency, we did that in terms of a GitHub repository.
Awesome. So just to iterate, this is awesome because now you're saying the dependency is not the package versions or the package, it's the GitHub of your open source project. And this is powerful because with packages, the packages might frequently change. So that might be a problem for some some teams, like for example if some package depends on NPSP, because I know an NPSP changes every 2 weeks. So having it depend directly on the GitHub, I really liked it. And I think that's one of the power of, the Cumulus CI, I guess, it doesn't come out of box, if I remember, in SFDX commands.
Exactly. So what's going to happen, just as you say, because we're using the GitHub repository, is when we go to create our Scratch orgs, we don't have to worry about updating the package versions in our SFDX project.json or anywhere else, because Cumulus CI is going to go out to this GitHub repository, locate the latest release, and automatically use that package version. And then further, it's going to look at the Cumulus CI YAML in the Nonprofit Success Packs repository, identify the dependencies of this project, and that's those other 5 managed packages that we saw in the installer, go to their GitHub repositories, get their latest releases, and continue following that dependency chain all the way up until it's located the right package versions to use for every single package we're depending on.
Awesome. Okay, this sounds awesome.
So we're in position now. We can go ahead and kick off our build. We've satisfied those two requirements, record types on the one hand and dependencies on the other, to get us a package version upload. So what I'm going to do to start is run the CCI task update dependencies. I'm going to run that against the org that we named called build, which will go ahead and install all the, that'll go ahead and install the latest versions of all those packages so that I'll install the latest versions of all of our packages so that we know what our dependencies are going to reference for this product that we're about to upload.
Yep.
Installing those packages will take just a few minutes. You can actually see here in the logs as Cumulus CI walks up the tree of GitHub repositories to identify those package versions.
Got it.
We'll get a report in just a moment here telling us exactly which versions it's identified. And in fact, we see that all these packages are already installed. I prepped this org just a little bit earlier. So we've already got these package versions installed, and we can now go ahead and begin a package upload.
Got it.
Then we'll reach for that orchestration called release 2GP beta. I'm going to run it against this org that we've named called build, because we know that that org satisfies all the dependencies of our product and of our upstream dependencies in the Nonprofit Success Pack.
Right.
So what's going to happen behind the scenes, if you haven't worked with 2GPs before, is we're going to create that org, which will include the setup metadata we specified, those record types. Then we're going to submit a request to the Salesforce platform to create a package version, which will result in the installation of all 6 managed packages, the dependencies that we've just talked about, in that build org. Finally, it's going to take all the metadata that we saw in Force app, load that into the build org, and it's going to create a second generation package version from the contents of that org, which will then be discarded. So unlike the first generation packaging world, we don't have to deal with a packaging org that's going to stay around, that acts as a bottleneck on our development process, whose state might get out of sync, things like that. None of that happens with second generation packaging because they're exclusively built in Scratch orgs.
Got it. So we are just moving to complete source-driven development.
100% source-driven development. Yep.
Okay. Awesome.
So this is going to run for a little while. Go ahead.
Yes. Awesome. I just had, one of the questions here, like, okay, so you talked about all these products, all the Cumulus CI. Where can, developers go to, learn more about Cumulus CI and how they can use the Cumulus CI, in their projects? And is it like open source? Is it, available for developers to fork and, play with it?
Great question. Yes, Cumulus CI and the whole rest of what we call the Cumulus CI suite,
which includes all of the experiences that we build on top of Cumulus CI, like our continuous integration application, the meta deploy installer that we looked at earlier. All of them are free and open source.
Wow.
You can find them on GitHub. In fact, if you navigate to SFDO tooling /Cumulus CI on GitHub, this is us. We are open source under the BSD 3-clause license, which is very permissive. You can find issues that have been filed by the community, pull requests. In fact, our release that's going out today of Cumulus CI 3.40 includes a contribution from the community.
Wow.
So we're a team that focuses very heavily on open source. We love being part of the open source community, and we love to have developers take Cumulus CI, use it for things that we didn't even know about, and create new opportunities for great products, for impact, for automation on the platform. That's what we really value.
Awesome. Okay.
In terms of where you go to learn more about Cumulus CI, we talked a little bit about the group earlier, which is in the Trailblazer community.
Yes.
We're also on Trailhead.
Oh, wow.
There's a trail called Build Applications with Cumulus CI that will take you through some similar workflows to what we're doing today.
Mm-hmm.
You'll start from installing the product all the way through automating a managed package that extends the nonprofit success pack. The big difference is that you'll be building a first generation package there, and we're building a second generation package today.
Awesome. All right. Sounds really cool.
Oh, thank you. So once our build completes, we can go look in GitHub. This is the GitHub repository for this project, for Derbyforce.
Derbyforce, okay.
And what you'll find is that part of that Cumulus CI orchestration that we're running is not just uploading a managed package, but also creating a release in GitHub.
That's wonderful. By the way, like this is one thing that I'm, just the normal Salesforce DX CLI won't do it for you, right? So this is the power of some of the workflows that you have in the Cumulus CI, and this is so awesome because one of the things you can do is you can actually compare code, compare your features to a tag that gets generated with each release in GitHub.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can do comparison between releases. You can compare it to your unreleased code in master.
Yes.
All kinds of things. And it really plays with that, or extends that ethos that you called out earlier, that Salesforce DX with second generation packaging is a 100% source-based development process.
Awesome. Yes.
So this is where we get to when we're finished with our builds. We get to the point where we've got a release in GitHub. We've got a second generation managed package, unlocked package in this case, that we can go and install in our org or in any other organization's org that wants to use our functionality.
Got it.
And when we're continuing our development, right, we can go even further. This is an example scratch org that I built a little earlier.
Got it.
And consume some of that automation from the nonprofit success pack to get ourselves a scratch org to work in that's fully set up and configured and built out, with all the configuration that I need to actually use this product, and also use my package, my Derbyforce package that I have built on top of it by creating records in my games and rosters, object, and whatever else I need to do.
Excellent. Thank you so much, David. Really, thank you so much for actually, spending, time not only answering that question, but also walking us through Cumulus CI and also, walking us through the whole developer workflow here.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. And I'm very excited by the possibilities for the community to take these extensions and continue them and build them further and generate even more impact. I think one of the success stories that I love to tell is the Outbound Funds project that you might be familiar with. Outbound Funds started as a community project. It was built at salesforce.org open source sprints. It became part of our open source commons program, which supports open source managed packages, and then ultimately is now being invested in by Salesforce. We've actually taken leadership on that project and made it an official supported project. So
that's awesome.
I love that story. I'd love to see even more folks out in the community creating those extensions for NPSP and EDA to build those ecosystems out even further.
Awesome. Thank you again, David, and I hope to see you in some other show. And thank you again, and hopefully you'll have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. And that was our episode for today. I hope you're enjoying the Interchange series, and if you have any feedback, do let us know. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube Salesforce Developers channel, and see you soon. Thank you.